everyone, my name is Yasmin and welcome to my mini teach on nativism. I'm doing this project with my partner Nick. In this presentation, I'm going to explain what the nativism theory is and how it impacts how we teach English language learners. And then I'm going to walk you through a fun and simple classroom activity that connects to the theory. So let's get started. So what is nativism? This theory was introduced by Chomsky, and it basically says that the ability to learn language is something we're born with. According to him, all humans have a natural ability to learn any language as long as they're exposed to it. He came up with the idea of a language acquisition device, or a LAD. You can think of this like a built-in system in our brains that help us pick up language without needing to be taught every single rule that language has to offer. It's kind of like how babies can start forming sentences without teaching them grammar directly. They just end up absorbing it. Now we're going to move on to some key features of nativism. Here are some of the key features. So language is innate or inborn. Kids really don't need a lot of instruction. They just need to hear the language. There's something called universal grammar, which means all language shares some basic rules. Children can create new grammatically correct sentences on their own, even if they have never heard them before. I thought that was pretty cool. It's kind of like our brains already have a way to figure it all out for us. So moving on to implications for teaching English learners. So we're gonna connect nativism to teaching English learners. Because language is something students are naturally equipped to learn, our role as teachers is to create an environment where language is really being used in a meaningful way. So that means a lot less drilling and grammar worksheets and a lot more speaking, listening, playing, and exploring. We should provide opportunities for students to use English in real life contexts, sentence frames, or visuals. And I think games are really a great tool to support this type of learning for students. So moving on to our lesson objective, we're going to move into the mini teach. So my objective for this lesson is that at the end, all students will be able to build simple English sentences using a verb, a subject, and sometimes an object. They're going to use picture word cards to help them, and they'll show what they know by sharing their sentences out loud. We can share with one person, or we can share in a group of many. So to do this activity, we are going to need the picture word cards for subjects, verbs, and objects. And again, we're going to be working in small groups or with one partner. Because students are at different levels, we've put in some added support for each type of learner. So for pre-emergent learners, we're going to use pictures and repeat sentences after the teacher. Basic learners are going to use both pictures and also build word sentences. Intermediate learners can add adjectives to make sentences a little bit more complex.
Yes.
This way, everybody can feel included and can feel like they're participating at their level and also feel successful while participating. So now I'm going to explain how the activity works. Each student is going to take a turn picking a card from each pile. One subject, one verb, and one object. Then they're going to build a sentence using those 3 parts and share it out loud with one peer or in a smaller group. To give an example, it would be, the dog is eating pizza. The dog is the subject, is eating is the verb, and pizza is the object. They're going to work alongside one another to help each other maybe come up with different ideas. And the idea of this is to help them naturally use sentence structures, just like Nativism encourages. I'm going to now show you an example. The subject card I picked is the dog. The verb card I picked is eating. And the object card I picked is pizza. When we put it all together, again, the dog is eating pizza. Now I'm going to ask the class, what's the subject? Good. Now can you tell me which part shows the action? Great. Now can you tell me what the object is here? Great. Now I'm going to let you guys all pick one card from each pile and work in groups and come up with different sentences together.
Was suddenly just a little too comfortable. She was at my daughter's home birth like 6 months prior. So I kind of was like, okay, she's seen my kitty too.
Remember, you guys can be creative and even a little bit silly.
We don't greet each other like that.
Can some of you guys share the sentences you came up with? Yes, John, you can share yours first. The cat is driving a car. Great, that is a great way to put the sentence together. That's also a pretty funny sentence too. Can someone else share? Go ahead, Jenny. My grandma is jumping on the trampoline. That's a pretty funny one too, but you did a great job connecting the 3 subjects into one sentence. I'll take one more. Okay, Mia. The chicken is eating ice cream. That's a funny one. I don't think I've ever seen a chicken eating ice cream. Okay, so now, after that, I'll let you guys go into different groups and share some of the sentences you came up with each other. And after that, we'll all get back together.
Thank you. So it's been a few.
So I'm addicted to this, not in the literal medical sense, but
So now we're going to do one all together as a class. Let's draw 3 cards. Okay, the first one is a monkey. Second card is brushing. And the last card is teeth. When we say it together, it's the monkey is brushing its teeth. Now, what's the subject, the verb, and the object? I'm going to wait a second and let you guys think about it. You can talk amongst yourself. Then I'm going to call on a few people, or you guys can volunteer to answer. So we'll start with the subject. Yes, it's the monkey. Now we're going to go to the verb. Can someone tell me what the verb is? Yes, it's brushing. Lastly, we're going to do the object, which is,
maybe 110 degrees outside, but that
yes,
doesn't
it's
start
teeth.
now. Here are my top 8 plants. You can start with seedless right now. Here are 2. First up, sunflowers. Everybody loves the classic sunflower.
So I hope everybody learned about making sentences today.
Take the sun, but I personally
We practiced putting together parts of sentences and making fun memories together. English is something that our brains already do. We just need the chance to try. Building sentences is how we tell our stories, converse in everyday life, describe how we feel, and connect with others. Thank you, and thank you for listening to my mini teach. I hope it helped you understand how language can be learned naturally and how we can support our English language learners through fun and engaging practice. Good luck with your own.
Hi, everyone. Thank you for being here today. My name is Nick, and I'll be adding on to the lesson that Yasmin and I have designed for English language learners. This activity is grounded in the nativist theory of language acquisition, which essentially suggests that students are naturally equipped to learn language when they are given the right kind of structured, meaningful input. Today, I'll walk you through how to teach simple English sentences using visuals, sentence frames, and a hands-on game. To start, let's talk about the objective. By the end of this lesson, students will be able to create simple English sentences using a subject, a verb, and sometimes an object. We'll use picture cards and sentence frames to help make this accessible and fun for ELLs. Let's hook our students in first. I would begin the class by reminding them about the day they shared pictures and stories about their families. Then I'd say something like, "Remember when we talked about what our families like to do? Well, today we're going to learn about how to put those ideas into English sentences." I would show a few pictures of family members doing everyday things and ask, "What's happening in this picture?" Then I'd ask something funny, like a cat dancing, and say, "How can we turn this into a sentence?" That helps engage them and build a meaningful context for the lesson. Next, I would explicitly model the skill. I'd show 3 cards, one with a subject, like the boy, one with a verb, such as is eating, and one with an object like an apple. I would place these cards in order on a sentence chart and say, "The boy is eating an apple." Then I'd ask, which part of the sentence shows the action? Let's pretend a student says, is eating. Great, that's the verb. We would repeat the process with different card combinations and ask students to help identify the sentence parts. I'd reinforce vocabulary like subject, verb, and object and explain what they mean using the visuals. Now, let's talk about scaffolding. For newer students, I would use only pictures. I'd say the sentence and have them repeat after me. For intermediate students, I'd use a mix of pictures and word cards. And for the more experienced students, I'd challenge them to build sentences on their own and even add an adjective like the funny boy is eating an apple. This differentiated support ensures every student can participate and grow at their own level. Next, we move into guided practice. Students will play a game called Complete a Sentence. Each student spins a spinner with the categories marked as subject, verb, and object. They pick a picture card for each and use those to build a sentence. For example, let's pretend a student lands on the dog is jumping and on the couch. I'd ask, who can say a sentence with these cards? And let's say a student says, the dog is jumping on the couch. Perfect. I'd encourage peers to give a thumbs up and have some positive comments. During this time, I'd walk around the class and both listen and support anyone who needs help. I'd ask comprehension questions such as, which word is the verb? Or can you switch the subject and the verb and still have a sentence? Now students will work with their partners or in smaller groups to make new sentences using the cards and frames. They'll be encouraged to come up with fun, silly, or real-life sentences and practice saying them out loud. All models appropriate behavior like taking turns and giving each other compliments. This supports a positive learning environment and builds confidence in speaking. To wrap up the lesson, I'll ask students to share one sentence they created. Then I'll ask, what did you learn about making sentences today? I want them to reflect and say things such as, sentences need a person, an action, and sometimes a thing. I'll bring it back to the objective. Today, you used pictures and words to make sentences. This helps you talk about your life, tell stories, and understand English better. Finally, I'd like to point out that this kind of structured language input supports all students, but it really is helpful in a multi-tiered system support. ELL students, like all students, benefit from this proactive, data-based approach. It helps us to see who needs extra help and ensures we give every student the right care that they need. Multi-tiered system of support allows teachers to collaborate, reflect, and make sure instruction is equitable and individualized, something that aligns perfectly with the nativist perspective, which holds the language is best learned when students are immersed in supportive and intentional environments. Thank you for participating in this demonstration. I hope this gave all of you a clear idea on how we can use language theory in practice to support English language learners. With structured input, visuals, and meaningful activities, we can help unlock the natural language abilities every student brings with them. Thanks again. Have a good rest of your day.